All right, welcome back to the 2 Minute Warning, episode 310. Back on the topic of the NFL today, the Pittsburgh Steelers have signed Dwayne Haskins, of course, just released by Washington. Signed him for 1 year. Just going to get into that. But first off, question of the day. Who is the Pittsburgh Steelers franchise leader in receiving yards? Answer revealed at the end of the video. So, Jay, tell me what this really means for the Pittsburgh Steelers, that they just picked up Dwayne Haskins, and why they may have done this, being that Big Ben is still on the block, whether he's coming back or not.
I really don't expect a lot from this. Really, Big Ben is still going to be the starter next year, assuming he comes back. I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to bench him by any means, especially for Dwayne Haskins, who's a complete wild card at quarterback right now. Yes, he's young and he makes mistakes, but I do think this has some potential for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it's just a really great risk to reward scenario. He's not going to be the starting quarterback. He's probably not going to be the second string quarterback. He's probably just going to be your third string guy to see if maybe if he could get in the right system and be behind the right guy and learn the right plays, maybe he could be this star quarterback that we saw him be in Ohio State, and it might finally transfer over to the NFL. If he could pick up some things from Big Ben and Mike Tomlin and the great NFL franchise, one of the best NFL franchises of all time, I think the potential is there for the Steelers to create something out of this. And really, if it doesn't work out, you had a third-string quarterback, a no-name guy that was really wasted for only 1 year. It's not like you're ever going to rely on him to really win games, because it's very unlikely Big Ben and Mason Rudolph would get hurt in the same season. So to me, they're just trying to pick him up and see if they could get anything out of him and possibly be a long-term potential play. Kind of like the Chiefs picking up Le'Veon Bell. They didn't expect him to keep him long-term, but maybe he's got some juice left in him, and they can see what they could get out of him for the short term. I think Dwayne Haskins is a similar situation, but more of a long-term play. So I think the risk to reward scenario is great for them. However, there is some situations that we know Dwayne Haskins has some drama with him, going to strip clubs, not following COVID, not being a great quarterback in the room, not being great in the locker room and with the coaches. So heading to the Steelers and having guys like Juju Smith and Chase Claypool who dance around, go on TikTok, kind of disrespectful to teams, he could just kind of bandwagon off that and join them and become even more of a problem, but we'll see how it goes. I do think, however, they could just cut him, not cost him a lot of money. It's just a 1-year deal. I think they're just trying to see if it's a potential gamble that could play out in the long run.
I do agree with you that the risk is pretty low here, but I don't like this move too much for the Steelers. I think that he does have talent, and if you were to develop that, you would need several years with him to have him in any position where he's a starting quarterback. So I don't understand why they would sign him for a 1-year deal if they're not going to be making him their starter. So I would have liked to see them sign him for a few more years for very cheap if they did plan on keeping around and developing him. And while he has shown that he has talent at Ohio State, a lot of quarterbacks we've seen from Ohio State go to the NFL and aren't any good because of how good their team is there at Ohio State. It builds them up to be better than they are, and they end up being busted in the NFL. So I think that is very possibly what we're going to see happen with Dwayne Haskins here. So it's not terrible because the risk is very low, but I probably personally would not have made this choice. That's probably why I'm not a GM, though.
Yeah, I know. I think this is a good move by the Pittsburgh Steelers, simply because of the initial contract of only 1 year. Really inexpensive. Jay already hit the nail on the head with that. I mean, they're not costing them a lot, and they can. While Wade is right that this potentially pointless, if not for more long term, you can't sign a guy that has his track record for more than 1 year initially, because he really has zero. You have zero reason to believe at this point that he's going to come through and be a quality player. So he hasn't proven that. So why sign him for more than 1 year initially? Now they can turn around and sign him for more if he does something spectacular this year. But the odds of him seeing the field, not a whole lot in big situations. Maybe if they're 12-1 again at the end of the year, they play Haskins, but whatever. Steelers had 4 quarterbacks this year. Big Ben is possibly on the block for retirement. Rudolph is probably going to be above Haskins in the depth chart. What's his name? Josh Dobbs from Tennessee is a free agent, and then Hodges, their 4th string, is gone. So they do need to add another quarterback. This is a good move in that sense. But Dwayne Haskins, the off the field problems are a lot. I mean, the guy's record as a starter in his career is 3-10, of course, with Washington. His very first win as an NFL quarterback, they couldn't even find him because he was in the stands taking pictures with the fans. So, and then of course the parties, the COVID stuff. He's not responsible. So the sign being short term is smart move by the Steelers, and like I said, Hasn't proven in the NFL anything, but at some point in his life at Ohio State, he was a talented guy. So I think the Steelers are doing a good job of taking the chance, but leaving the risk factor really out of the equation.
Yeah, and really, even if he doesn't turn out and pan out to be this great guy and that he doesn't find his talent and doesn't find his potential, maybe they're just looking at it, maybe, if we do move on from Mason Rudolph, if his contract is expiring soon, maybe he could bump up to be our number 2 guy. Not necessarily we're not going to try and develop him to be our number 1. But to me, Dwayne Haskins, if he got rid of all the drama in all his situations right now and he just relied on his strict talent, I would like to keep him on my team as a backup quarterback. So to me, they might be looking at it that perspective, or maybe he's just a future guy to have on our roster to have as a backup guy. Because he's probably a top half backup in the league.
He could end up being a guy like Teddy or Geno Smith.
Yeah, or
never a great starter, always a good to have around as a backup.
Exactly.
So
Mariota maybe.
Yeah.
So maybe that's their play there. Once Big Ben moves on, we might not want to switch to Dwayne Haskins, but it's not bad to have him on the roster for sure. I think there's a lot of potential there, and I just don't see them losing a whole lot. Yes, there could be some drama if he fights Juju Smith, but that's really getting out of hand, and I don't see that happening. But it'll definitely be kind of cool to see what goes from here.
I think they're a really talented team. I think I would have rather them draft a quarterback, and assuming that Big Ben stays, I would rather see them draft a guy like Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, or Trey Lance or someone, and have them sit behind Big Ben for a year. I think that Haskins has not even sat behind anybody, but he's been in the league for a few years, so he knows, but he hasn't matured much. So I would have much rather them see them take a quarterback in the draft than make this move. But that's just me.
I see a similar situation in Tampa Bay right now, just with a guy in Antonio Brown who struggled with off-the-field stuff. Obviously, Antonio Brown's talent level was higher than Haskins is, but got put on a team with a veteran Hall of Fame quarterback in Tom Brady, and we haven't heard a peep from Antonio Brown all season. So another smart thing with the Steelers doing this with Haskins is you put him on a team with Big Ben, assuming he stays around another year, and I think Big Ben keeps him in shape and gets him in the right direction to become a possible value for Haskins to become a possible valuable player for the Steelers moving forward from this point.
I think there's a lot of upside no matter which route you look at.
And whatever the contract is, $4, $5, $8 million is really the only downside the Steelers might lose. So I think with an organization like that, they can afford that risk.
I agree. Yeah.
All right. That's all for the video. Question of the day. The Pittsburgh Steelers franchise leading wide receiver is Hines Ward. Really exciting guy to watch play. Again, guys, thanks for watching. 2-1.